Hey everyone. So during the lock-in tournament, of course, one of the big stories or kind of like themes running underneath it was that we didn't have full rosters for all of the teams. Whether we were kind of waiting on the green card situation with Team Liquid, and that led to all those kind of interchanges. Obviously, we had teams that fielded their full academy rosters like TSM and Golden Guardians. And then there's the whole Cloud9 situation. We also had River coming in late. So there are three teams out of all that who we didn't get to see their full rosters at all during the tournament. Uh, we didn't get to see anything from the Golden Guardian starting roster. We didn't get to see anything from the TSM starting roster. And we only got to see Fudge and Blabber from the Cloud9 starting roster. So I asked Twitter, of course, earlier today, which of those three teams are they most excited to see now that their full rosters are going to be here to start the season, the official regular season, and lock-in is over? Unsurprisingly, I think, given what we know of the amount of storyline that has been built up around Cloud9, the poll is overwhelmingly in favor of Cloud9 as of right now, over 57%. Also unsurprising that Golden Guardians, I think, are kind of trailing in that poll, just not having the same kind of history and general fan base as these two orgs, and also not the same level of kind of competitive expectations, I would say, coming into the year. And then TSM in the middle. But personally, my own excitement level, I want to talk a little bit about each of these three teams and which one I'm most excited about. And kind of why, and why I think there's plenty to be excited about with all three teams. So let's start with Golden Guardians, because naturally there is going to be less excitement about them. But obviously they've got some new players here. They've got Licorice and Blaze Olive coming back. They've got Lost, and I'm actually excited to see Lost in a different context and with a different set of teammates, because I think that he's probably going to be a little bit of a pet player of mine this year, because he got so badly underrated, I think, throughout the year. Given the way TSM season went, I think his play was not judged fairly a lot of the time. Just TSM fans are that style of fan base. Giant team, giant brand, and very, very, what's the right word here? Very excitable fans? No, that's not quite right. Passionate, I guess, is probably a better word for it. And you get a lot of, when things don't go quite that well, they didn't make it to Worlds, you're going to have people really angry and looking for, scapegoat sounds too negative, like I'm trying to say it totally wasn't fair at all, but like they're looking for everything that went wrong is going to have gone horribly wrong in the eyes of the TSM fan base. And I totally respect that. But I think Lost has been unfairly maligned. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him in a different team, different coaching, different teammates, all of that. And I think he's going to be able to redeem his narrative a little bit. He probably won't come in and be like, top three bot laner in the league or anything like that. But I think he's had a lot of people believing that he doesn't deserve to be in the LCS, which is not, I don't think that's accurate at all. So I'm looking forward to that. I think Licorice and Blaze Olive are one of the stronger solo lane pairings in the league across all the teams. I'm not saying they're the strongest, but they're up there, and they don't get much credit either. And then, of course, Ole's return could be really interesting. If he regains his peak form, he could be, in a top half of the league for support. So you want to see how that's going to go, because we really don't know what to expect after time away. Bjergsen came in after time away, and he seems like he's doing well. So maybe Ole can do the same. And then Pride Stalker is the really big unknown here, I would say, in terms of how he's going to transition his ERL play into the LCS. I've had people from Europe tell me that they believe Pride Stalker will be the best jungler in the LCS. I can't remember specifically if they said that before they knew the entire lineup of all the junglers, but regardless, even if you exclude some of the junglers who were added to the league, like Inspired and River, like that's a strong list to be putting him ahead of. I personally don't see it. When I look at the lineup of jungle players in the LCS, you've got Inspired, Spica, Blabber, Santorin, Closer. You have River added. Even Xerxes, I think, is pretty good. The LCS jungle role is really stacked, and Pride Stalker is coming in after some time in the ERLs and a little bit of a kind of cup of coffee in the LEC. And if he can keep on pace with that group of players, that could be really big for Golden Guardians. He doesn't have to be an all-pro level top 3 jungler. If he can just keep pace with that group, that'll be really impressive. So I think there's some really exciting things for Golden Guardians to see how it all works out. They've definitely shifted their course compared to last year quite significantly. They had a Blaze Olive, develop, I'd say, better than I would have hoped for. They got Licorice at the end of the year, not at the start of the year like they wanted. And yeah, I am personally interested in seeing them play. I'm not as interested in them, of course, as I am in Cloud9. So let's talk about them. Obviously, the entire Cloud9 story is really, really fascinating this year with LS coming in and finally coaching a team at the top level. How's that going to work out? The whole Korean push with Summit and Berserker, and then bringing in Winsome, who he was been playing in Korea, is able to declare North American residency because his family moved to Korea when he was 9 years old. I believe that's the age I was told. So he was born in the U.S., moved to Korea when he was 9, and is now kind of coming back to play, able to declare North American residency. All of those things, the vibe of the Koreans do it better, and we're going to take as much of that and try to transplant it here and do it that way. That it's just such a compelling idea to try to evaluate and to see how well it goes. The things they're doing with their 11-man roster, the fact that they're waiting potentially on Sven's green card to arrive, and if it does, how is that going to shift up their plans, giving them a little more flexibility in roster configurations they could use. The fact that they sold Vulcan when he was, less than a year ago, I was fairly consistently saying that Cloud9 were like the best positioned org in the league because they had arguably the two best, or at least close to the two best kind of domestic players. Spica came onto the scene and I think has supplanted Blabber for like the best domestic jungler, but having Blabber and Vulcan in that core was like, you can do anything you want as long as you have those two players, you're going to be at very least a contender. But now they've sold Vulcan and they've gone a different direction, and how's that going to play out? Are they going to prove that their new direction was better and that their plan was better than Vulcan going elsewhere? And then, of course, you talk about the specific players. Berserker would be getting hype as a preseason like rookie of the year candidate storyline if he was entering the LCK. But he's in the LCS, not the LCK. And that's super, super exciting. Like, there should be so much talk about what a big deal this guy is coming in as a rookie. Summit, I think I've said before, I believe he's the highest quality import that the LCS has brought in since Someday. Not just like past kind of brand level and name recognition, but current form. And we have seen Blabber and Fudge play together in Lock-In, but we haven't seen the other three put around them. We haven't seen if Cloud9 are actually going to do kind of the swapping in and out that they've talked about, with all of the kind of the internal solo queue stuff and finding different partnerships that work together. So, I think there's so much here to be excited about, and I totally get why the fan base is so overwhelmingly fascinated with what's going to happen with this team, whether you're all in on believing them. I'm a Cloud9 fan. Every single player they have is great. It's going to be the best thing that LCS has ever seen. Or whether you're just fascinated from like a let's stand back and see what happens kind of perspective, which I think there's a healthy chunk of those as well. Personally, my hype level for it is a little bit lower, though, than TSM because we've seen Blabber and Fudge playing together already, and I know a fair amount about those two players, and because personally I'm nervous about how Will Winsome's going to perform. So, I'm hoping that he'll exceed my expectations on him, but it is making me a little bit cautious in what we're going to see from them, especially early on in the year. For TSM, now, this is the team that I personally am most excited to see to kick off the season. Obviously, Spica, great player. I've been saying it since his playoff run in 2020 in summer. And he's maybe the most popular player in the LCS right now, other than Bjergsen probably. There's a reason that that Riot's hype video for the LCS started with Spica and put him so front and center in it. They know this is the guy right now. Reigning MVP, on the most, TSM and C9 kind of fight for the most popular team right now, I'd say, but he's on the historically longest standing most popular team, and Cloud9 seem like they're kind of supplanting that. So you have him coming in, and then you've got Shenyi and Kaiduo coming in, and obviously I did VOD reviews on these guys, and I was kind of like cautious optimism on both of them. I felt like pretty good about them. I felt a little better about Shenyi. I think he's got a good, healthy level of hype as a support. People are excited to see what he can do. People are expecting him to be like super aggressive. I don't know if he's going to be that aggressive personally, but more so than maybe above average, but I don't think he's going to be like hyper aggressive. I think some of that take comes from the fact that he's coming from China, and there's that story about China. Everybody in China is so aggro all the time. They just fight. I don't know that I personally see that in Shen Yu's play, but I do think he is going to be a playmaker and go for things. I was more excited, as I said, about Shen Yi than Kaijuo coming in, but since he's landed in North America and I've started to pick up little threads here and there from, how things are going in scrims and his first landing, and people are watching him in solo queue, although I haven't watched him stream, but just hearing what they're saying about what they're seeing, things look really positive and sound really positive about him. People are excited. They're saying he's actually really good, and that, when you compare that to what my take was on him, that maybe I was being too conservative. I believe Spica said in Hotline League yesterday that Kaijuo is going to be the best laning mid in the LCS. Obviously he's going to be a little biased, and maybe it's a kind of a veiled shot, a friendly kind of shot at Bjergsen, who just departed the org. But, regardless, that's building hype about how good this guy's going to be in lane. And I've heard similar things elsewhere, that he's been performing really well 1v1, and that we should be excited about that. So if he can add that kind of explosive laning and carry that forward into the rest of the game, then that is increasing my level of hype about TSM. And seeing these two new players, and I think kind of also the change in direction for TSM that they're heralding, that's what has me so excited about this team, and why I'm personally more excited about them than I am about Cloud9. Not by a large margin, but I think the TSM project it's just something that is different in its own different way. Both of them are very unique projects, but in different ways from each other. So that's personally what I'm most excited about. But, feel free to let me know in the comments what you're most excited to see, whether the fact that you haven't seen these teams yet is not important and you're still more excited about someone other than these three. Let me know how well you think each of them is going to do, say by end of spring split. Are any of these teams going to contend to win a title, or is it going to be TLEG again like it was in lock-in? What are we going to see? I know that I'm very excited. I think the LCS hype video was really good and has my energy levels climbing. So I can't wait for Saturday when all of this kicks off, and look forward to watching it with all you guys. Thanks for watching and supporting my content. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, and check out the channel memberships if you want to get access to custom emojis, special roles in the Oracle's Elixir Discord, and other perks.